Dun, 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 dun. This is Free Comic Book Day. Well, tomorrow is anyway. Um, Hello and welcome to the Comic Hall. After a 90-minute delay, and it's still not working right because I did not hear the ding that I usually hear for the start broadcast. But I decided to try something here. I tried a test earlier, and it worked okay. I didn't hear through the computer what I can hear in my headphones, but um, I heard they was made it on the video, so I'm thinking maybe my headphones are messed up, so I might have to go out and buy some new ones, which is fine because I've had these for a while now, and it's always good to buy something new anyway. So, and I think they're broken anyway. It doesn't matter. So, it is 10:30 p.m. on Friday, May 2nd. Yes, May 2nd. And this is the Comic Hall Week 5. What Comic Hall is a show that I do where I tell everybody the comics that I bought this week and talk a little bit about them and anything else comes to my mind. It's only about a half-hour show. Might be less this week because I don't really have a lot. It's a fifth week in the comic world, so that means there's not a lot going on comics-wise. So what do we got coming up today? We've got annuals, which I will go on a little rant about. We've got a brand new #1 of a hero that's been around for quite a while. And my long, desperate search for the Flash may have come to an end, or maybe not. We will find out. Also, tomorrow, Saturday, May 3rd, is Free Comic Book Day. By the time you guys probably see it, it will probably be Free Comic Book Day. So, whatever, May 3rd, Saturday, go to your local comic book store, get some free comics, look around, buy some stuff, get back into comics, get caught up on comics. Most places will probably have some sort of sale going on, so you guys can, get caught up on things that you missed out before, or if you haven't been in a comic book store in a while, a chance to pick up some stuff. And a lot of you are probably going to go see Amazing Spider-Man 2, which opens today, which kicks off the summer movie season. There are going to be some Spider-Man comics out there too, which we'll get into in a little bit as well, and other comic stuff as well. So, without further ado, let's move this along right now. I have no viewers, and I probably won't have any viewers, probably because it is late, and I've had to change this 3 times. Let me just tell you, these tech issues are a pain in the ass, excuse my language, and hopefully that they'll be fixed for tomorrow. Tomorrow is, this is the first day of 3 hangouts I will be doing. I also do a regular show every Sunday called Dylan Knows. Tomorrow is a special show, prime time, 9 p.m. Saturday, show about Batman's 75th anniversary. I'll be talking all Batman stuff with my comic partner and co-host MJ Khan and our friend DH Gamer. And then Sunday will be at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Will be MJ and I back again, just talking about comics on my regular comic show, Dylan Knows Comic Show. So stay tuned. This is the first of 3 videos I will be doing. And anyone out there who's watching, because I got 1 viewer now, if you're watching, can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know via tweet at Holodill. I do not have the Q&A up because I'm just fed up with how long it took for me to get things set up. So, without further ado, I've talked about 5 minutes now. I'm going to get into what's going on. So, suffering from an upper respiratory infection, I went to the doctor's today, and I got some medicine. And while I was waiting for the medicine to get done, my local comic store was nearby, so I said, hey, let me go pick up my comics for today's show. So I went to the comic store, and I picked up my comics, and here's what we got. Now, last week, Flash #30 was one of the comics that I was unable to get, that I was dying to get, because the Flash has a brand new creative team. Writers Robert Venditti and Van Jensen are writing Flash now. They are involved in the Green Lantern universe. Robert Venditti writes Green Lantern, and Van Jensen, I believe, writes Green Lantern Corps. So, the 2 of them are co-writing The Flash, new creative team with artist Brett Booth and inker Norm Rapmud. Last week, issue 30, which is the premiere of their of the new creative team, the books came out. My local comic store did not get theirs. They were shorted. It's like, so I decided to go to another local comic store nearby here. They didn't have any. So apparently they didn't up their, they underestimated the amount of people who are interested in it, because the rumor is that Wally West, who has been missing from the old DC universe, is making his way into the new 52. And in fact, he has. I'm not spoiling anything because, yes, I got it. Flash number 30. You will not believe what I had to do to get this. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to get in trouble. So, I got it, and being sick, after I got my drugs, I came back, I took my drugs, I sit down in bed, and I read this, and it was amazing. Robert Venditti and Van Jensen wrote the hell out of it. Brett Booth drew the hell out of it. The story's interesting, time travel, all kinds of stuff. Interesting aspects to the Flash's powers. Here's some gorgeous Brett Booth, Norm Ratmud artwork. There we go. There we go. And pull back a little bit. And just perfect ways of him using his powers, which made me love the Flash. I've always loved the Flash. Never been a real big Barry Allen fan. Wally West is my Flash. And so I've got most of all the Wally West Flashes. I read them. I love them. If I had superpowers, I wish I was like the Flash. I could run really fast. I always find it interesting. Robert and Van made some interesting things. One of the main things you need to do is Barry is talking to a psychiatrist, and while he's talking to the psychiatrist, he is going around saving the day real quick. So they're talking, and then he disappears, and disappears again. He was a Flash. You can't really see it because the camera is not that good, but trust me, he's running back and forth as the Flash, saving the day while in between the seconds of talking to this psychologist. And there's some other interesting things rolling in about his powers, which we learn more about in Flash Annual number 3, which came out today. Flash Annual number 3 continues the story that started in Flash number 30. You get a bit more of a behind-the-scenes thing. I'm just going to tell you, I read this also. I'm just going to tell you a little minor spoilers. Wally West is in the comics, but he is not the Wally West that we recognize. He is a very different Wally West. Let's see if I can find a better picture of him on here for you guys. Yeah. This is the new Wally West. Yes, he is a black guy. And you know what? I'm okay with it. That's cool. He's young. He's a new Wally West, and he's not Kid Flash yet. And I don't know if that's what Robert and Van are going to be going for, but we shall see. The storyline that they're starting off with has to do with, and once again, spoilers, his death, Wally West's death 5 years into the future. And so future Barry Allen realizes that's the moment where everything goes bad, so he's going to go back in time to make sure that that doesn't happen. So here's contemporary Barry Allen. Here's future Barry Allen, red and blue. Future Barry Allen in this book is a total badass. Wait till you see what happens to Gorilla Grodd. And the way that Robert and Van wrote Gorilla Grodd in this, insane. Insane. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And maybe because I haven't been following The Flash in the New 52, maybe I didn't know this, but apparently Mr. Grodd has got some speed powers also, and that is something that they've never really discussed too much about. So, Flash number 30, excellent, came out last week. See if you can find a copy. I cannot tell you what it took me to get this, and none of my stores had it. I'm not going to tell you how I got it. Flash Annual number 3 was almost out. I think I got the last one. So the Flash is making a big comeback with a new creative team. And Wally West, you know, there's still big fans about Wally West, even though he's a black guy, young black guy. It doesn't matter. he's Wally West, and everybody loves Wally West. So I'm interested to see where Robert and Van are going with this. In the annual, we learn a little bit something interesting, that when the Flash uses his powers, he seems to be slowing down also. I think it was this one, or was it in this one? One or the other. It appears that I think it's the annual. It appears that even though he believes that he's, yeah, it is. It was the annual. He believes that he made it back in plenty of time, in like half a second or whatever. It was actually 15 minutes. So something's wonky with his speed also. So Robert and Van have created a bunch of excellent setup for their storylines, and here's hoping they can keep it up. I'm really excited for the Flash. I'm really excited about it. Brett Booth's artwork is amazing. He draws the annual also. He co-draws it, I should say, with comic veteran Ron Frenz, who is known mostly for Spider-Man. Ron Frenz is a guy who's been around. He's old school. Here's some Ron Frenz artwork. He's some old school, but definitely Ron Frenz. If you've known him from the 80s and 90s, this is definitely Ron Frenz artwork. And the Gorilla Grodd picture I showed you was Brett Booth. But you will not believe what happens to Gorilla Grodd in this. You will not believe the setup that Robert and Van have done in both of these issues. I highly recommend you dig these up. I highly recommend you pick out and buy Flash 30 and Flash Annual number 3. I'd recommend get them both because it is one big storyline. I'm excited to see where they're going with it. And another cool thing is I mentioned it to them on Twitter because I follow them, and they responded back to me, and they're thanked me and were very excited that I enjoyed it. So please, on your free comic book day, go out there and if you can find it at your local store, pick it up. I highly recommend it. It will not be free, but I highly recommend picking them up. We'll get into free comic book day in a little bit, and I will talk about my annuals down the line a little bit. Next up, we have Batman Eternal number 4, which is the continuation of the Batman Weekly series that's going on in celebration of his 75th anniversary. In this issue, he takes on Batgirl. This issue is interesting because doing a weekly series, you cannot probably have one artist on it. So Jason Fabok is taking a break this week, and instead we've got Dustin Goyen, whose artwork is really good also, and Derek Fridolfs as the inker. So very kind of Doug Mahnke kind of a little bit, but not bad. Continues the storyline. I read all Batman Eternals the last 2 days also. I have some problems with the story, and we'll talk about that probably tomorrow on the Batman show, Batman 75th Anniversary show. I'll talk about that a little bit more there. All in all, it's a good series. Excuse me, it's my upper respiratory infection. It's a good series. Artwork is good. Story is good. And there's just a ton of stuff that is getting thrown into the storyline that there's just so many story arcs going in different directions, and I can't wait to see how some of these are going to turn out. Since I'm in a spoiler mood, I talked about the return of Wally West in the Flash comics. Last week, Batman Eternal 3 brought back someone from the Bat universe that's been missing in the New 52 until now. And I can rightly say right now who is back. Stephanie Brown is back. For those who don't know, Stephanie Brown first came into prominence as the Spoiler. She is the daughter of one of Batman's lower-level villains, the Clue Master. And she's, she doesn't have any power. She just trained up. She had a purple cowl cape type of thing, and then would try to stop her father and try to stop crime. Cross paths with Tim Drake Robin. The two of them started dating. She also was a single mother. Well, not a single mother. She got pregnant, gave up the baby for adoption because she's still not really a teenager. But I guess she's a teenager still, and she wasn't really embraced by the Batman family all that much. Tim Drake liked her a lot, and the Batgirl who can't talk, I forget, I can't remember her name. Charming Red's gonna kill me. Cassandra Cain, that's right, there we go. Who was Batwoman at the time, who didn't speak, and all dressed all in black, became friends with Stephanie, and eventually Stephanie became the new Batgirl. This is in the old 52, back when Barbara Gordon is Oracle and was shot and paralyzed by the Joker. So Stephanie became Batgirl, and Brian Q. Miller wrote her series and wrote it really well. It was a really good series, well-loved. Character was well-loved, well-received, and then DC just sort of threw her to the side, and they didn't really talk about her, even though she was brought a bunch of time at cons. It made DC look like a bunch of dicks, excuse my language, in their treatment of her, and it riled a lot of people up. Well, she's back, and she's going to be playing a big role, I think, in the future of the Bat universe. Here she is talking on the phone to her mother. So Stephanie is back. So rejoice. Batman Eternal #4 came out this week. Pretty good. All right, as I said, this is the fifth week of the comic year, or the comic month, I should say. This happens every once in a while. They used to do something called fifth week events, where they would do a special, mini series for the whole five weeks of a month. And with the 5 weeks also, now they can spread out the amount of comics they release. So they released some other ones this week as well. But recently, in the new 52, basically, the fifth weeks have brought about the annual. This week is no exception. This week we've got Batgirl Annual #2. Actually, the reflection's kind of bad. It's Poison Ivy and Batgirl. And Green Lantern New Guardians Annual #2. I'll get into each of these individually in a second, but let me just go on my rant real quick about annuals. In the new 52, annuals. Well, let's back up a little bit. Annuals. What is an annual, Dylan? Well, here you go. For those who don't know what annuals are, this happened. The first couple annuals happened back in the 60s. They're double-sized issues, and they came out back in the 60s and somewhat in the 70s and a little bit more in the 80s. But it got a little different in the late 80s. Excuse me. But the annuals always came out during the summer. They were double-sized issues of the comics, so they cost a little bit more than you usually paid for a comic. Most stories were a one-and-done story that was bigger, a big story that they couldn't tell in the regular series. And I'll give you an example. Amazing Spider-Man Annual #1, back in the 60s, 63, 64. I think 63, back when Spider-Man was first came out. It was the first appearance of the Sinister Six, which was, leading up to that point, all of Spider-Man's villains teamed up to fight him. Now, that hadn't appeared in the comics yet. He had been fighting them individually. This is the first time they joined up as a team and took on Spider-Man. And that was kind of a big deal, A double-sized issue like that, it's kind of a big deal. Also in the 60s, one of the annuals had the marriage of Reed Richards and Sue Storm. That's a pretty big deal also. So annuals were usually, stuff that came out during the summer, that were used during the summer as a special event, double-sized issue. Might have the same creative team that's been doing the series, or they might have gotten a guest writer, guest artist in there, whatever. And it became an annual event. So every year they would have another annual, another big double-sized story, some big things happening here and there, and it kept going that way till about, I guess, the late 80s, maybe early 90s, might have been maybe I don't know, somewhere around that point, late 80s, early 90s, when Marvel decided, you know what we're going to do? We'll keep the annuals on in the summer, but what we'll do is we will make them into storylines. So they would take a group of annuals, say like, I don't know, Spider-Man annual, Hulk annual, Thor annual, Captain America annual, and the Fantastic Four annual, something like that, 5 annuals or whatever, and would tie a storyline between all of them. A good example is Atlantis Attacks, in a bunch of like 4 or 5 annuals back in the late 80s, early 90s. They did a storyline called Atlantis Attacks, where Namor and the Atlanteans attacked the Earth, or rather attacked New York, and just the heroes of those annuals would fight them and stuff like that. So that's when the annuals sort of became, all right, we're gonna make big storylines out of it, and we're going to create new creative teams or new things, and we'll do like series. So you're gonna have 5 or 6 annuals here are gonna be this one story, 5 or 6 over here are gonna be another story. And DC did the same thing too with their annuals. They had annuals as well. Once they saw that Marvel's annuals were doing well, they did annuals as well. Same thing, double-sized issue, big events. Honestly, though, for the life of me, I couldn't tell you anything major. I think one of Alan Moore's comic book stories that he actually wrote, Superman story, that isn't Whatever Happened to the Man of Steel, or the Man of Tomorrow, excuse me, was in one of these annuals. So kind of interesting. And then they did some, like Armageddon 2001 was another one where they had bookends, and then the annuals all connected to that. So connection became a big deal then. Fast forward to the 21st century, annuals now are just thrown whenever. In this case, I think Marvel and DC, I think because Marvel's been doing the same thing too, they just throw annuals out there whenever they have a fifth Sunday, or fifth week rather, I should say, fifth week, and even sometimes when they don't. And what are these annuals now? Yeah, they're still double-sized. See, Batgirl annual, double-sized. More expensive, almost $2 more than the regular comic is. Pretty much a self-contained storyline. Gail Simone wrote it. Gail Simone's the writer of Batgirl. She wrote it, but Robert Gill, I don't think, is the main artist on it, on Batgirl now. It's a standalone story about Batgirl and Poison Ivy teaming up, and that's it. And it doesn't seem like it's a major story or major event or something like that. It's just, okay, we have this fifth week. We want to make some money. We don't want to spread our comics too thin. So let's create these annuals, because we've done annuals since the 60s, and charge extra money for them, and people will buy them. And yes, I know I'm hypocritical saying this. I did buy it. See, I bought Batgirl annual number 2. I bought Green Lantern New Guardians number 2. Yes, I did. And don't get me wrong. Green Lantern's annual, I think, or the Green Lantern Corps annual from a couple of months ago, tied into the Lights Out storyline that Robert Venditti and Van Jensen were writing. So sometimes the annuals nowadays are connecting to a bigger storyline, or the final exclamation point to the storyline. But in this case, this is just a story about Batgirl taking on Poison Ivy. And is it going to have some situation that is going to make its presence known in either the Batgirl comic, or these two are also in Birds of Prey working together? Is there going to be this annual story? Is it going to be a connection to those issues in the future, a future storyline? I don't know. Is it possible? Sure. Maybe that'll be your big story, Dylan. But as of now, it's $2 extra, double-sized issue, self-contained issue that, honestly, probably didn't need to buy. But I did anyway because I like Gail Simone's artwork and I like Batgirl. Or no, writing, I should say. Gail's writing. Green Lantern New Guardians, written by Justin Jordan, who writes the regular series, drawn by Steven Segovia. I looked through it. I haven't read it yet. There's something weird about a black version, a weird version of Kyle. As I was leafing through it, I saw one scene that really made me cringe a little bit, and I know there's some people who actually like this, but spoiler alert. It's Carol Ferris kissing Kyle. Carol Ferris in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern stories is in love with Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan loves her. They're a perfect couple. She is a Pink Lantern, or I should say Violet Lantern, excuse me. He's a regular Green Lantern. They work together, stuff like that. They've been lovers forever. And it's one of the happy couples that we see in DC. Johns even wrote in issue 20, which was his final issue of Green Lantern, he took a look at the future. They got married, had kids, grew old together. I don't know what's going to happen now because of this. Do we really need a triangle? I guess. Am I a big fan of it? Not really. Not really. Not at all. To be fair, I haven't been caught up on Green Lantern New Guardians yet. I got caught up on Green Lantern. I got caught up on Green Lantern Corps, but I have not get caught up on Green Lantern New Guardians yet. So maybe, but right now, Carol belongs with Hal. Same with Iris West belongs with Barry. But in the comics, in the Flash number 30, Barry is not dating Iris. And that's fine. That's something that's been going on since the New 52 started, that Barry was not with Iris. Whereas Carol was with Hal at the beginning of the New 52. And there's always these, let's throw all kinds of obstacles in the way of true love and let them fight their way through it, and then true love. It's something that happens in TV shows. TV shows it happens in, and it gets boring after a while. It's cliched, it's boring. No offense, Justin, as I said, I haven't read it yet. And for those who like Green Lantern New Guardians, I haven't read it yet. Just from what I've been leafing through, I just don't like where it's going. And I like Kyle. Kyle was my Green Lantern. I was never a really big Hal Jordan fan. But this new White Lantern Kyle, from what I've been reading so far, I'm not liking it that much. And that's even before Justin Jordan took over. So it's not Justin's fault. He's a good writer. He's probably got some good stories. As I said, I haven't caught up with it yet, and he's a nice guy. But I saw that, and I don't like it. But I'm just one person, so it doesn't matter. So that's it for DC. So I did my rant on annuals. I did my discussion of the Flash. Only got a few more to go. I got no independence this week, and this is something else that made me a little angry. I love my local comic store. I love my LCS. The fact is, they did not have Green Lantern number 30, or not Green Lantern number 30, Flash number 30. I had to dig up and find it somewhere else. They ran out of Rachel Rising number 25, which I have gotten caught up with the trade, so now I want to start getting the issues so I can help Terry Moore out and help him keep the comic going. They didn't have it. Neither did the other comic book store I went to. They didn't have it either. And my comic store also, this was the last issue of the Hulk number 2 that they had. This came out this week. And this was the last issue they had. My local comic store. Guys, tomorrow is Free Comic Book Day. You're going to have a ton of people in the store tomorrow. I've been there the last 5-6 years. You have a ton of people in there. And if they want to see some of the new comics that are out, for this week alone, maybe I would increase my numbers a little bit, knowing full well that granted, you might not get anybody buying this stuff, but still, you might like to have them up there. You might just like to have them, up there, so if people want them, they can go and they can buy them. All right. Regardless, I got lucky. Here's Hulk number 2. Mark Waid is writing the heck out of it. Mark Bagley, who I absolutely love, also is drawing the heck out of it. Read the first issue. It's a very interesting premise. I'm going to spoiler it also. I read it. Bruce Banner got shot in the head, but the Hulk didn't allow him to get killed. But they he's getting operated on because the shadow government wants to put a device in the Hulk's head so they can control him at any time. But the Hulk escapes before that gets put in, and we find out that because of this brain opening the back of his head and filling with his brain, that Bruce Banner no longer is intelligent and no longer will be intelligent, which is a very interesting concept that Mark Waid has got going. So Hulk number 2, The Return of the Abomination, which is one of the Hulk's greatest villains. Pretty good fight between the two of them. Love Mark Bagley's artwork. Absolutely adore it. Here's what Bruce looks like now that he's not intelligent Bruce anymore. And we get a little bit of a fight between Abomination and the Hulk. And for fans of the Avengers movies and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Coulson is in this as well. He's a character in the comics now, and he is one of the regulars in the Hulk series, along with Maria Hill. Once again, of the Avengers movies and comics, stuff like that. Hulk #2 comes out this week. My store, this is the last issue that they had, the last copy of it they had, so maybe your stores might not have ordered enough as well. But highly recommend it. Mark Waid is a fantastic writer. Mark Bagley is a fantastic artist. One of those guys who can draw really, really fast. Now, the last 2 books I got are written by the same guy, Mr. Dan Slott. Dan is he's most well known for being the writer of Spider-Man and doing the whole thing with Dr. Octopus becoming Peter Parker and so on and so forth. That all ended last week. And first, though, before we get into that, Silver Surfer #2. You have to buy this book. You absolutely have to buy this book. It is insane. It is cosmic. It is crazy. It is fun. It is a lot of fun. Dan Slott writes it. Mike Allred of Madman Comics is the artist, and of Ecstatic's fame. And it's totally bizarre. I mean, and it's the way a space opera should be, with crazy aliens. Look at that. Crazy aliens. Lots of crazy aliens. You know? You know, and just crazy things. Giant hearts. I mean, what's up with that? Huh? What's up with the giant heart? You know, and you know, the bad guy, as they're saying, the main bad guy. Where is a good picture of her? There we go. Is her, but we find out she's not such a bad guy after all. She's actually a good guy, and it's amazing, and it's funny. The escape of a bunch of prisoners rests on the fact that an alien species cannot eat a specific fruit, and he spews out acid. Insane. I read this while I was going through my technical difficulties. Love it. Love the first issue. Love the second issue. If you like crazy, funny, cosmic, crazy alien, just utter insanity, pick up Silver Surfer. It is excellent. Now, I told you that there's a new #1, Dan Slott. You pretty much figured out what it is. Yes, sir. He's back. Amazing Spider-Man #1. And whoa, perfectly timed because, hey, his movie comes out today also. Wow, just think about that. So people who go see the movie are going to be able to buy the first issue of his new series. Wow. Isn't that amazing? All right. I'm not trying to be sarcastic. It's good merchandising. It's what gets in here. This is $6. It's pretty thick. And let me tell you a little bit about it. It's written by Dan Slott. This is the variant, one of the variant covers. There's a bunch of variant covers. I like this cover. It's the same price as all the other ones. I like this cover better than the main cover. They're doing a lot of interesting things with this issue. First, they're going to Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos are the creative team on this book, and they're bringing Peter Parker, who's now himself again. Peter Parker, Doc Ock is no longer inside of him. Peter Parker has taken control of it. Now he has to deal with the aftermath of what Dr. Octopus dealt with, and his stuff, and his reaction and his attitude towards Peter's friends, who all thought it was Peter acting this way when it really was Doc Ock. So now Peter's got to figure out a way to make friends again and try to blow off what actually happened over the past year or whatever it was. And a lot of weird things going on. So, and it's funny too, because poor Peter just can't win. Yes, that's webbing underwear on because he doesn't have his costume. So, all kinds of interesting things going on here. They're setting up a lot of storylines about where Dan's going to go with the characters and what's going on. So, the first part of the book is the main issue. This is the main storyline with Humberto Ramos. And this is the woman that Doc Ock was in love with, but he was in the body of Peter. So now Peter's back inside his body. He has no idea who this person is, and they are supposedly lovers, and that's got to be insane. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that. So the first part of this book is the main 22-page story that's going to set up things. Then you got a bunch of these other mini stories by different creative teams, which are going to set up other things as well. I'll just go through them real quick. Electro is the main villain in Amazing Spider-Man 2, so of course they had to do an Electro story. Why not? Make him look a little bit more like Jamie Foxx a little bit, so people will want to get the issue. Then going back to the whole thing about now Peter is going to have to clean up the mess that Doc Ock did as Peter. One of those was attacking the Black Cat. And Black Cat thinks Peter was the one who did this, doesn't know about Doc Ock, so she's pissed. And she's reverting back to being a bad guy. She's in jail, and she escaped, and now she's going to hunt down Spider-Man. Okay. Then we do something silly with how my stuff works, just a little cartoony. How for those who don't know what Spider-Man's powers are and stuff like that. This is the best way to explain it. This next story I love. I love Peter David. He's one of my favorite writers. He is going to be coming back to one of his creations from the 80s, 90s. Marvel, a while back, decided they were going to create a whole new universe called 2099 and use futuristic versions of their heroes, Punisher 2099, Hulk 2099, Fantastic Four 2099, Spider-Man 2099, which is a great series written by Peter David. Dan Slott brought Spider-Man 2099 back into Superior Spider-Man, so he's back in the public, and the public liked him. So July, Spider-Man 2099 #1 is coming back out, written by the guy who created him, Peter David. And I cannot tell you how excited I am because I love Spider-Man 2099. And if Peter David can do what he did with the original series, it's exciting. Next up, we have a story with Kane, which was we'll get into that. He's the clone of Peter Parker. Kane apparently has joined the New Warriors. So it's just a way to reintroduce him and get people to go check out New Warriors because he's in there. So there's a little 5-page thing here. And then we have some early days of Spider-Man. Dan is going back and is going to be doing a story that takes place in the early days of Spider-Man as Spider-Man, Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. So they do a little bit of an intro to that as well with a new with a character who's creating a costume to maybe be Spider-Man's partner. So we'll see. I mean, that's going to be in Amazing Spider-Man 1.1, which will be coming up maybe next week, I think, or sometime this month. So that should be interesting. So then, Dan goes and he talks, about some upcoming stuff that's going on as well. Then Marvel's been doing this a lot lately. They've added a bonus book. Something that has nothing to do with Spider-Man. You get a full copy of Inhuman #1, written by Charles Soule, who's a great writer. Don't get me wrong, but I did not want to read Inhuman #1. If I wanted to, they still have copies of it available at my local comic store. But now I had to buy it as part of this, and you know what? Maybe I'll read it because now I have it in the book already. Charles Soule, who I like, wrote it, so maybe I'll read it. And it's drawn by Joe Madeira, who I could go either way on. So that's this issue. And that is the comic call for this week. Now, I know I'm running a little late right now, but you know what? I just need to get this out of the way. After everything that happened to me today, I just need to do this. And plus, I need to push this, and I've been pushing it all the time. Free Comic Book Day is tomorrow. I cannot stress how big that is. This is Free Comic Book Day Eve. This is one of the biggest days. Tomorrow is one of the biggest days in comic fans, comic companies, comic stores history and their year. This is one of their biggest events because it's a lot of publicity. You get a lot of new faces in there, and your goal is to build your business, which is the whole point of Free Comic Book Day, is to build your business. So if you've never been in a comic book store and you're interested in comics, you've been getting into it from watching the Marvel movies, the DC movies that aren't as good as the Marvel movies, but if you went to go see Amazing Spider-Man 2 this weekend, and interested to see what's going on with Spider-Man, as I said, Spider-Man number 1 is out this week. They're going to have a ton of copies. It's a number 1. You can start at the ground floor, and you can start reading Spider-Man again, or read it for the first time, and see if you like it. Comic stores are no longer the creepy dens of depression that most people think of from what they were back in the late 80s, early 90s. These are clean, well-lit, nicely designed, very cool stores. Regular stores. They're not crappy little junky stores. Are there some out there? Sure. But the majority that I've seen, the majority that I've been in, are not junky at all. They've got awesome carpeting, lighting, shelving. They've got everything you need. The staff is amazing. And the fact is, women are becoming a bigger part of reading comics. And so it's no longer an area where it's just guys. Women are in there also. And, are there still discussions about who's stronger, Superman or the Hulk? Sure. But you know what? That's part of the fun of the comic book store and talking about things that are going on and stuff like that. But these comic book stores also have other things. They've got gaming stuff. They've got action figures. They've got books. They've got trades. They've got kids. They've got a lot of family. There's a lot of family comics out there, so everyone in the whole family can enjoy. So stuffed animals, posters, T-shirts. If you're a big fan of Walking Dead, most places will probably have a giant Walking Dead display with all the Walking Dead trades in the comics and maybe the videos. Some stores have the videos, and all the action figures and all the cool stuff, all the the bottle openers and the keychains and all the little just itty bitty things that you'll see that might have Walking Dead stuff on it, or Superman or Spider-Man or whatever. My comic store has shot glasses. They've got mugs. They've got giant glasses with really cool designs on it. They've got action figures. They got all kinds of cool things. And they've got gaming, they've got baseball cards, they got stuff for family, and they've got a good trade paperback section. So if you want to get caught up on comics, you can go, you can pick up some trades here and there. Most of these stores are probably going to, they love Free Comic Book Day because not only do you get a lot of publicity, you get a lot of people coming in, but they're also going to put sales, probably go crazy with sales on things. So you can go in there, you can buy a bunch of stuff for not as much money. I think my store is doing 50% off trades. Trades cost between $12 and $20. You can buy 2 trades that cost $20 for $20. Instead of $40, $20. It's half price. So go for it. Go to these comic book stores. Go pick out, go pick up Flash number 30. Go pick up Flash Annual number 3. Get back involved with Batman, in his weekly series. Go crazy with Hulk, Silver Surfer, and Amazing Spider-Man number 1, and go get the annuals if you want. If you like the characters, go get them. Annuals you probably don't really need to know what's going on in the comics. You just pick them up. They're one-shots. Boom, take them out of there. And then get your free comics. Now, the whole point of free comics is you get free comics. There's 60 of them. There's going to be ones from the big companies, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, IDW, Image, so on and so forth. They all have them. Some of these companies, they use their Free Comic Book Days to introduce upcoming big storylines that are going to be changing the face of their comic company or getting into their summer crossovers, or in some cases introducing a new series that will be coming out very soon with a creative team that is to die for. And there's a lot of family-oriented ones there. I think there's a Hello Kitty one. So if you like Hello Kitty, go ahead and get a Hello Kitty comic. Now, there is no purchase necessary to get a comic. Now, they might limit you to you can only get 3, you can only get 5. Some do that. My store says you can get as many as you want. And what's really cool also is that they always seem to have extra from every other free comic book day they've done over the last 5-10 years. They put those out as well. So you're not only just getting this year's free comic book days, you're getting last year's, the year before, year before, year before, year before. So, and that's great. You know, my store says you can take as many as you want. So you go in there, you're brand new, coming into comics as well. Go in there, get some of the older ones that you missed out on before, and get the new ones, obviously. There's 60 of them, as I said. There's 60 free comic books, and they are no cost. There might be a limit on how many you can get at some stores, but my store, I'm just telling you, my store says there's no limit. Take as many as you want. So, now, they're free to us, but the stores have to pay for them. They're not a lot of money, but they still have to pay for them. And so you don't have to, as I said, you do not have to buy anything, but go in there, maybe buy a comic, buy a trade. I'm thinking about one of the things that came out this week is the Pretty Deadly trade. Kelly Sue DeConnick, excuse me, sorry, Kelly Sue, wrote it. It's her creation. And I got the first issue, and then I went on I went away from comics for a little while, and so I missed the other issues. So the trade is here. It's $10. It probably won't be a part of any sale pricing because it is brand new this week. I did not buy it this week, even though I wanted to, because I'm entering that phase again where I'm going to need to probably budget. So my comic haul episodes might be a little bit smaller than usual. Because I won't be buying as many comics until August, September, when our money situation comes online a little bit better. So we'll see what happens. Will I have a show next week? It's possible. Depends on where our money situation is. If not, it'll be within 2 weeks probably. But before I get to that, let me just say real quick, DC's one of their free comic book days comics is the introduction to another weekly they're going to be doing, which comes out next week, I believe, called Future's End. And the new comics this week had a little bit of a teaser about what to expect from Future's End. And it's always neat when they do these teasers because then it gives you a chance to look for some things. Like a good example is, let me see, how does this work? Okay, there's Batman Beyond, so he's going to be a major part of this. There's what looks to be a Robin, but there are no Robins now because they're all dead. Or not all dead. The last person who was Robin is dead. So what's a Robin doing there? Then we've got some other characters. We've got Grifter. We've got the Authority. We've got Mr. Terrific. We've got is that Frankenstein? We've got Frankenstein in there as well, and some other supernatural people. Looks like Edward Bennett's in there as well. Looks like Hawkman, in some shape or form, is in there as well. So it looks like it's going to be a combination. Oh, and Booster Gold's back up there with Robin. So pick up the DC one especially because it's going to set up the upcoming weekly series that's coming out for that. All right, I think that's it. I'm getting close to an hour now just because I had a lot to talk about and I had all this technical difficulties. I just wanted to get this off my chest. So, Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day is tomorrow, Saturday, May 3rd. Go. If you don't know of any stores in your area, whatever, go to the Free Comic Book Day website. Go to your browser of choice, your search engine of choice, I should say. Type in Free Comic Book Day. It should take you directly to the website. Well, you have to click on, obviously. And then they'll have a little clicker on the side. You put in your zip code, and it'll list all the comic shops within 30 miles of that zip code that are participating in Free Comic Book Day. They'll have directions, ways to get to their website, stuff like that, so you can actually go and check it out. It is a family thing. I would take your kids, if you have kids, dress up in costumes, take pictures. They might have contests. Every store is different. They're going to have people signing, the creators, writers, artists, are going to be there signing. Frank Cho is going to be at my store. So Steve Conley. They're guys that, if you're in the industry, you know who these are, who they are, and they're in town to do that. And there's going to be other people, other creators at other stores, so you might be able to meet some of your creators that you like and get your book signed if you want to. So, Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 3rd. Go to your store. Go to your store. It's only one day. It's May 3rd, Saturday. That's it. Once it's done, it's done. It's over until next year. It's a big day for comic people. So go out there, find something you like. Go see Amazing Spider-Man 2 if you want, and then go to the comic book store and get some free comics. Real quick, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully my technical difficulties will be better. I might have a new set of headphones and microphone. Maybe this has finally died on me. I don't know. I'm going to maybe go buy a new headphones tomorrow just to see if that's what caused the problem. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, God willing, will be a new special primetime episode of Dylan Knows. It's our Batman 75th anniversary episode. Be talking an hour and a half to 2 hours of just Batman, talking about creative teams, best Batman creative teams, artists, writers, best Batman storylines, best Batman villains, best Batman gadgets, maybe best Batman girlfriends, the best Robins, all kinds of stuff. Why the movies, the TV series, the cartoons, why we're obsessed with Batman. Why we got into Batman. My Dylan Knows Comics co-host MJ Khan will be joining me, as will our friend DH Gamer will be joining us as well. Then Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, God willing, no technical difficulties, no problems. MJ and I will be back for our regular comic show. We'll be talking about it's May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you. So we'll be doing some Star Wars stuff, probably talking some Star Wars things, talking about this dearth of Marvel #1s that have come out and the Marvel and DC crossovers. Maybe even a look at what my feelings are about the new 52 as we're entering third year, getting close to the end of the third year of the new 52. So we got some interesting things coming up. So once again, thank you for bearing with me through my technical difficulties. Here's hoping that I'll get new headphones and this won't be an issue anymore. And hopefully all this went through and you guys can hear me. I still have the one viewer pretty constantly, so hopefully you're there. You're still there, so you heard what I was saying. So on that note, I'm going to say toodaloo. Thank you for listening and watching. Go Free Comic Book Day. Buy comics. Go to the comic book store. Buy Robert Vendetti's and Van Jensen's Flash #30 and Annual #3. And go see Amazing Spider-Man the movie, Amazing Spider-Man 2 the movie. Why not go ahead and pick up Amazing Spider-Man #1? Get it on the ground floor. Find out what's upcoming. You want to hear some crazy stuff? Silver Surfer #2. Hulk. Your annuals? Go for the annuals. Batman Eternal Weekly Batman. And that's it. I'm done. See you tomorrow.